Good morning, guys. This is your boy Ronan. Go ahead and hit the radio really quick. And decided to make a YouTube video kind of about my build as far as my melee character. I did make a strictly melee build for the most part in Fallout. Not gonna lie, I did use a couple of guns only for really long range engagement, but for the most part, I did all melee. So I'm just gonna show you my skill tree, kind of what I did, and kind of my process going into it. Now, of course, with a strictly melee build, strength was something really high. I did get all the bobbleheads and everything. So I think I started with my strength around 8 when I started the game. Found the bobbleheads, and kind of went from there. Now, of course, one of the big things you're really going to want is, of course, the big leagues perk. Double damage with the melee weapons, so that's gonna do your damage with your swords, your knives, your baseball bats, things like that. Just kind of help me out a lot. As far as 1 or 2 shot kills, of course, at higher levels, I'm knocking death claws heads off, in about 2 or 3 hits, so that's really important. Also with the melee build, you're going to be running up a lot, which means you might take a couple of bullets on your way there. So of course I did want to put on the rank 4 armor mods. That way, I'm defended, kind of tanking hits as I'm going. So it definitely helped out as far as that. Blacksmith, I just kind of threw points in the blacksmith kind of just to do it. With the melee weapons that I used, I didn't really use too much of the weapon mods per se. I know a lot of people use the super sledge for their melee builds because it's it's big, it's heavy, it does a lot of damage. But I use a different weapon, so we'll get into that in a second. I skipped over heavy gunner, of course, melee playthrough, no need for that. Strong back, of course, I put the first 2 points into it. On the second point, you can carry 50 more weight. So of course with that, just carrying more supplies, things like that, kind of helped me out. I didn't really mess with too many things other than the skill tree. However, what I did use was rooted. Now, the base skill at rooted, of course, while standing still, you gain plus 25 damage resistance, and your melee and unarmed attacks do 25% more damage. Second, jumps up to 50. Third, you can automatically disarm enemies that use melee weapons against you. So, of course, that kind of speaks for itself. So, what I would do, especially against super mutants, because the super mutants, they more or less do want to square up with you. They do want to stand toe to toe with you, kind of do that test of strength. I stand right next to them, swing my melee weapon. Of course, I'm getting the the 50% more damage on top of my big leagues perk, so I'm literally clearing them. And keep in mind, I played on normal for my first playthrough, but other than that, I was doing very hard. Actually, I tried out very hard difficulty just to see how my build held up, and it still held up really well. Killed legendary death claws, everything like that with my weapons. Like I said, we'll get into my weapons in just a second, though. We're kind of going over the skill tree right now. Of course, this has nothing to do with the melee stuff, but I did do locksmith. I thought about using awareness, but unlike the other Fallouts, when you go into VATS now with the melee weapon, you just kind of hit the main character. You can't really set to hit him in the kneecap with the bat or anything like that. So you just kind of just go off of like a basic one thing with VATS. So I didn't really, of course, touch into perception too much. Endurance was important. I didn't put that many points into endurance. I don't remember how many I had starting out. Maybe it was like 4 or 5. But of course, we'll get into the build with that. Toughness. Of course, toughness was something I also want to build out. Same thing with the defense. Same thing with my blacksmith perk. If I'm going to be running up, hitting enemies and stuff like that, I want to be able to take those hits so I'm not getting dropped, I don't want to be a lightweight about it. So 50% damage resistance just seems like the smart idea as far as that goes. Lead belly to take less radiation from eating or drinking, so not really a huge thing with the build, but if you're going to be slamming deathclaw steaks and rad roach meat and things like that, you might as well take a little bit less radiation because of it, if you got the extra skill point to put off, of course. Life giver. Now, of course, rank 1 life giver, you on body wellness, gain an instant 20% maximum health. Same thing, keeping my health high, keeping my defense high, so I can run up, smack people over the head, get them out of there. So that's where I went as far as that. So I maxed that one out. Aqua Boy is something I kind of added later in the game just because I was didn't want to fast travel everywhere. So I was just like, let me throw a couple points into this. Now, I heard a lot of people for their melee builds, they did put an adamantium skeleton on to reduce your limb damage, but honestly, I didn't come across too much limb damage in my playthrough. I'm not sure why. When people shot at me, I took cover and breaks in the fire. I'd sprint up to them, go into VATS, crack them over the head. That usually be it. But like I said, this is my build, so this isn't like the build to go off of. This is just what I did. Charisma didn't really factor into it. I did do the cap collector thing just for selling stuff. Lady killer, of course, 5% damage in combat, but you don't really come across too many women in the game. Now, if you do make a lady character, a woman character, if you do that, the flip to this, I think it's Black Widow, where women actually do 5, 10, or 15 more damage than men. Since 95% of your enemies are going to be men on the game, that's a great perk to have. Also, of course, I was working with my allies and stuff on here as well, but this one takes 15% less damage and carry weight increases by 50. That's also an amazing perk. So if you don't mind not having an ally, you can actually carry more weight and you'll take less damage. So and then when eventually at a companion, you do 25% more damage. This makes a lot more. This makes a lot of sense. I actually should have put some points into this, but I started, getting into the characters' backstories, things like that, because I'm a nerd like that. So that's where I kind of went as far as that goes. Tag dog, animal friend, local leader. Of course, that had nothing to do with my build. There's no chance you'll get addicted to alcohol. Might be a good one as well if you want to use stuff like whiskey, which raises your strength, things like that. That definitely helps out. Intelligence, my guy's not, he's not the smartest guy out. I did use the medic, so of course stim pack and Radaway, level 1, you restore 40, 60, 80. So of course just getting your health back, so if you do kind of come into that tight engagement, you can get that health back. Hacker for the terminals, that's not important. Science was for a couple of the melee mods as far as putting like electricity stuff on my weapons, so there's that. Agility, I didn't really put that many points into either, as you can tell. I did put 1 point in the sneak because I didn't know if I was going to be a stealth guy, but of course with all my heavy armor, that almost made that impossible, so not really important at all. Now luck, I had like 2 luck points for like the entire game, just because I was too busy doing other stuff. But of course the bloody mess perk, awesome perk for a melee build, because the combat bonus, 10% more damage, 15% more damage, and of course it's always cool to hit something with a baseball bat and it literally explode into everything. So that's more or less my build. It's not really detailed or anything like that. We got a couple more minutes on the video, so what I will do, I'll go ahead and show you guys what I have in my inventory, what I have equipped. Now I do have the extended ripper, so it's very fast damage. It's only 26, but it's more or less like a saw, so you just kind of hold it on people and it just drains their health. I picked this up recently, Pikmin's Axe. Target bleeds 25 points of additional damage, and the stabs actually come off really fast, so that kind of helps out with that as well. Now here's my go-to weapon. I renamed it Till the White Meat Show. If you were familiar with Bernie Mac, you'll know what that's from. But 40% less action point cost. You see the damage is at 121. It's one of the bats that you can get in Diamond City. Well, if you talk to, I think, Mo, the bat guy who's selling the swatters, he calls them. There's one that you can get there, and the perk on it is 40% less action point cost. So of course I couple that with some of my heavier damage, so I can go up, kind of hit people in bats a lot more times. So with that damage, I'm clearing people. This is maybe my go-to weapon for the majority of the game. Like I said, I do keep a pistol on me just as far as for turrets. The troubleshooting hardened 44 pistol. That way I can just kind of pop turrets, get them out of the way really quick. This has been one of my favorite weapons since I've started my playthrough. The VATS Enhanced Combat Knife. Same thing, 40% less action point cost. So it's the same thing as my aptly named To the White Meat Shows, but it's a combat knife. So if I go up to somebody in VATS, knives are already light, so you're not doing then they don't take up a lot of VAT space. But I can literally go into VATS and do like 7 or 8, 9, sometimes 9 or 10 stabs on things and kill it. And sometimes that initiates a knockdown, which means the enemy takes more damage. So it just kind of all stacks together. It's all pretty cool. Virgil's rifle, of course, damage for super mutants, longer range. It's mostly melee build though, so you're not gonna see a bunch of guns on me. As my build, a lot of this stuff is stuff that I just kind of put together. I did come up on the champion's left arm from a legendary drop, +1 strength of endurance. Also, as far as underclothes, because you can wear the long johns, the vault suit, things like that. I did come across the dirty army fatigues, so they boost my strength and agility by 1. So like I said, I have all the bobbleheads and everything. You can see my strength at the bottom. I'm at 250 strength. 141 energy resistance. I only have 10 radiation resistance, but I got rad away, things like that, so that doesn't really affect it too much. I'll go ahead and show you guys my special. So currently my build looks like this. I'm at 12 strength. Of course, affects how much you can carry and the damage of all your melee attacks. So I'm really clearing stuff in only a couple of hits. Like I said, perception is boosted off of one of my equiptions. I don't really use that too much. Endurance, how many action points drained from sprinting, and my total health. So you see I'm at 472 health at full health. Of course, I'm only level 50 something, so I'm kind of going off of that. Charisma's 9 because I really like the speech challenges, kind of a nerd with that. Intelligence, I've only, worked on that a little bit. Agility, number of action points and bats, of course, which could really help. And of course, don't use my, well, if you want to use my build, that's fine because it worked great for me. But it might, somebody else might have a different build. So I would just say kind of shop around, look around in other videos if you think about doing a melee playthrough. Also, luck. I didn't really use too much luck on my first playthrough. And then keep in mind, yeah, this is my first playthrough. I didn't use any, builds that were already out there or anything like that. I just kind of used my build. I kind of went based on what I wanted to do with my character. So I can't say my build's the best build or anything like that because I'm sure there's better builds out there. But I'm just kind of letting you guys know what worked for me as far as what I did. So that's it. Just kind of wanted to shed a little bit of light on that, guys. It's what I did more or less for my melee build. It's worked beautifully for me. Killed a lot of things with it. I don't have too much trouble. I can tank hits, I can go drop enemies if I need to. So it's all worked really well. Thanks for stopping through. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'll do some more builds maybe, see how much time I have because we all know Fallout's very, free time using. But yeah, definitely subscribe. I'm also on Twitter, got a Facebook page and everything, so I'll put the link of those in my YouTube comments and anything. And if there's anything you can think of as far as build wise that would be better to go with it, definitely let me know, let other people know who might have some questions or comments or anything about a build. I know there's a lot of people interested still in getting Fallout, so yeah, definitely share that knowledge, share that wealth, man. But that's me, Restless Ronin. So I'm signing off. You guys have a great rest of the day, and definitely hit those comments, man. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Peace.